And welcome to Local Edition on Time Warner Cable. This is Steve Swat, and this is also the Sacramento Report. Rich Gordon is my guest this segment, member of the State Assembly from Menlo Park. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I guess congratulations are in order. A few months ago, you had a significant recycling bill that was signed into law, and it was based on a premise that I think a lot of folks aren't aware of, the fact that most, perhaps 90% of the recyclables that we have here are shipped overseas to be remanufactured?
Specifically the plastic bottles. You buy a Coke or a Pepsi or something in a plastic bottle. That bottle, when it's recycled, gets shipped overseas to be remanufactured into a new plastic bottle. They can't refill the ones that we have. They have to remanufacture them. The legislation I proposed said we should take some money that was sitting surplus in the recycling fund and incent California companies to do that work here. The bill was signed into law by Governor Brown, and because of that, a new facility is recently opened in Riverside with 120 new California jobs.
So this is surplus funds, and those, and who can get a hold of those?
Well, companies that are going to remanufacture plastic bottles in California can get access to this fund to help them create the jobs. It provides them with an incentive so that they can be competitive with the foreign marketplace. I think what some of us don't understand is that we pay 5 cents on every plastic bottle, but most of us don't go back to the store to collect our 5 cents. When they're recycled, the complete 5 cents is not returned to the recycler. So there was a surplus in the fund that we tapped.
Any other businesses on tap, do you think?
Well, we're looking now at perhaps doing similar kinds of activities in other recycling programs we have in California, including the recycling of tires.
I want to talk about another interesting subject, which is you're also involved with, and you chair the budget subcommittee that deals with, among other things, parks.
Correct.
And as I think most Californians are aware these days, 70 parks are slated to close, at least in the proposed budget, because of our funding situation. And yet your subcommittee has sort of found an interesting way to sort of get around that.
Well, what we're hoping to do is to incent our park rangers at local parks to be very creative about fund generation. Currently, if a park creates extra money because they set up a situation where they're selling books or selling information or better collecting fees at entry point, that money, above and beyond what they'd collected previously, has all been swept up by the state. What we did in our subcommittee was say, no, 50% of that will stay in the local park. We think that will allow park rangers to be far more creative about how they might generate funds to support their park. And we need that kind of entrepreneurial spirit in order to help save the 70 state parks that are presently called for closure.
Yeah, so it sort of decentralizes the parks to some degree.
Decentralizes it and says to local rangers, you know how best, maybe there's a better way to collect fees than you're presently doing. Maybe there's something that you and docents at the park can do that would encourage more visitors. If you do that, you'll get part of the money.
It's interesting. I mean, also nonprofits and others are really rallying behind the parks these days.
Well, I think I'm very hopeful we'll find a solution to the closure of the state parks. But nonprofits have stepped up, local jurisdictions have stepped up. I think of the 70, we've saved about 15 already.
All right. Well, Rich Gordon of Menlo Park, member of the State Assembly, thanks very much for coming by, talking about these two important issues.
Great, my pleasure. Thank you.
And thanks to our viewers for watching Local Edition on Time Warner Cable. You can also watch this interview on YouTube and My Government on Demand. Have a great day.